Listening to Liberty Talk Radio. Political talk derived from a historical perspective. Not always palatable, but good food for thought. Pure libertarian talk with host Joe Cristiano. LibertyTalkRadio.com.
Express Test is your go-to company for on-site occupational health testing services. That's right, we said on-site. That means we will meet you at your facility for a free health and occupational safety consultation. Express Test specializes in hearing conservation, respiratory protection, and employee safety. We can help you establish viable programs tailored to your business and employee needs. For your free consultation, call 918-743-2929 or visit us at expresstest.com. That's 918-743-2929 or expresstest.com. Do you find yourself asking, what did you say? Aaron Cristiano of Ranch Acres Audiology has over 25 years of experience helping patients just like you.
Hearing requires conservation. We need to be aware and we need to be responsible for our own hearing health.
Understand more with a little help from Ranch Acres Audiology. Call 918-749-7711. That's 918-749-7711 to learn more. We'd like to thank attorney Constance Squires for her support of Liberty Talk Radio. If you want a comprehensive way to affordably avoid legal issues, call Constance Squires. For a free consultation, call 918-254-9283 or go online at isthyWillDone.com.
Steve Harden of the Harden Insurance Agency has over 30 years of experience designing family insurance protection, including retirement planning. Call 918-488-0024 or go to hardenagency.com and request a free in-depth estate and retirement evaluation. We look forward to earning your trust and helping you meet your life goals.
This isn't your typical talk radio show. This is Liberty. Liberty Talk Radio.
Folks, we're back. This is Joe Cristiano. You're listening to Liberty Talk Radio. We had a guest this morning, unfortunately for the first half hour. Unfortunately, for some reason, our communications did not connect very well, and he was outside on an iPad trying to broadcast, and of course we heard more ambulances and taxi cabs honking and stuff like that. So we did cut the interview short. It's fascinating. We were talking about sub-Sahara Africa, and that's basically the countries south of Morocco, Algeria, Libya, and Egypt, which are basically they border on the Mediterranean and they're quasi-European countries. But the sub-Sahara Africa is the Africa that we know of, we think of. It's impoverished. It shouldn't be. They are. They have natural resources. They have people who have the desire to work. They are really free enterprise people. If the despots there would only go away and drown somewhere, and our government would keep the military out of Africa, Africa would be the new old world, if you will, or the old new world, if you will. I don't know which is the better way of putting it, but Africa is the up and coming nation and will be in the decades to come. Only because the people have the desire, and it is so subjugated right now. It's got to do nothing but improve, because if it doesn't, there's going to be no sub-Saharan Africa. Anyway, so I'm going to take the next 20 to 25 minutes to talk about some current subjects. And by the way, we do have a new toll-free number, and I'd love for you to call in. It's 855-866-1170. That's 855-866-1170. If you want to call direct, it's 646-652-4620. Please call me. Interrupt me at any time. I'm ad-libbing the second part, but I do want to talk about a subject that will not go away, and I do not understand it, and that is the subject of the minimum wage. I do not understand why people do not understand the minimum wage and how destructive that is to a free enterprise system. You cannot have a free enterprise system if, in fact, the government is telling you how much to pay people. Now you're saying, well, Joe, you must be a mean business owner. I'm a business owner. I ain't mean. I'll tell you that. Anyone who works for me, ain't mean. In fact, the company owes me money, but I still give money to my employees because they run the company. I want to make very clear, I am president of Express Test Corporation, an occupational health testing company, probably the biggest one in Oklahoma. But I'm president, but I work for every one of my employees. You can ask them and they'll tell you that. They run the company and I pay them accordingly. And if there's money left over and we're doing well, they get the money. It's very simple. And that's how we stay in business. That's how we keep with zero turnover. And that's how we murder the competition. And everyone's happy. But people, this is true free enterprise. But unfortunately, we have this mentality. And I have people in my own family, literally in my own family, that will say, oh, you're a business owner. You got to be a mean person. They literally think my wife and I are mean people because we own a business. I'm not kidding you. We have close relatives that go, oh, you own a business. Oh, you got to be a mean person or poor people who work for you. That's the first thing that comes to their mind.
I don't think you're mean.
You don't think I'm mean?
I don't think you're mean, Joe.
Board operator said I'm not mean. I try to be mean to him, but he doesn't understand. You must be numb.
Oh, what? You try to be mean to me? What?
I didn't realize that. But, we have this perception that, all right, a person's a boss, mean. So when politicians talk about business, they go, we have to give more power to the people. Well, who the hell is the politician saying that? First of all, the politician has all the power. They have the Army, they have the IRS that has weapons behind them to enforce whatever law is that they pass, against the people. And I'm the mean guy? I don't think so. I'm on your side. I'm on the side of the employee. I want people to flourish because the more that they flourish, the less problems I have. The happier they are, the happier I am. That's the way the free interchange among people work. Now, let me give you all the bad parts about the minimum wage. If people say, well, we should not have items produced in China because they pay a very low wage. Well, we'll just think about that for a second. Let's assume for a second we just have one product here in the United States and the minimum wage is hellaciously high. Let's just one product. We're going to build one box. And there's one box in the United States. We're going to pay a very good deal. We're going to pay $50 an hour, right? So this one box costs $50 an hour. The labor cost is $50 an hour. So the people who have to buy that box, right, have to expend a lot more of their disposable income to buy the box. So what happens to all the people who buy something at an inflated price from the United States? What happens to their income? Well, it becomes depleted. In fact, their income goes to subsidize a government minimum wage program. So let's say this box costs $50, right? But if we went to China, it would cost $20. Well, if I bought it from China, I would have the box plus I would have $30. Now, I would have that $30 to spend on other things, right? Which would mean other companies would thrive. But if I buy the box that's made in the United States, and I spend $50 and that's all I had, I would have zero left over. That means all the other companies that I would have purchased from suffer from that because I am subsidizing a minimum wage that should not exist in the first place. That's uncompetitive. Now, here's the rub. We keep on talking about, but look at all the horrible working conditions. Yes, the working conditions in China are not up to par in the United States because it's not an industrialized country. Understand that the people who are working in these factories under pretty poor conditions, let's admit, they're not ideal. I would not want to work there. You would not want to work there. Now, but where are they coming from? Well, they're coming from the dirt farmers. I mean, they're living in Quonset huts. I know people, I've read books of people who've gone to China and they say that there's excrement, in the streets, in the roads. It's a horrible, horrible place to live in many cases in China. It is filthy, it's wrought with disease, it's overpopulated, people are starving, they have one item to eat breakfast, lunch, and supper. They have to toil all day just about to get nearly enough nutrition. Now, and then they live in a hut, with no air conditioning, no heat, no nothing, right? Now, these people have it tough. Now, when they go from those conditions to working in a factory and then living in an apartment, maybe with they're sharing it with other people, it's not the ideal condition. I would not want to live that way, and most likely you would not want to live that way. However, if you compare it to where they came from, it's a quantum leap from where they were before. It is an improvement in their working condition. Now, to us, if we went to work in that Chinese factory, it would be a downgrade. We wouldn't take the job. But they are dying to take the job because they want to get out of the filth and of the village that they're in and get into a city where there's running water, toilets, heat, air conditioning, and whatever the case may be. Now, are all the conditions ideal? Absolutely not. There are some good factories and there's bad factories, just like there are good factories and bad factories all over the world. My point being is that let's stop condemning everybody else and saying, look, that's slave labor. That's not slave labor. That's what the market will bear. Now, we wouldn't work there because the market wouldn't bear that, but these people be more than happy to. Now, when the conditions get really bad, what happens? The people start uprising. They go on strike. They don't show up. They quit. There's a high turnover. And then the companies have to say, hey, do we want to have this high turnover, or do we want to have a more stable, educated or knowledgeable, not educated so much, but a knowledgeable, trained staff that doesn't turn over? Actually, that's less costly than having maybe less people paid less, but turning over every few weeks. We have to retrain them. Obviously, there's no productivity there. Well, eventually, the free market mentality comes in, and people go, better idea that we improve our working conditions so these people don't quit. They continue to produce, and in fact, they may even increase production and come up with ideas on how to make it even better. That's what happens in the free market system. Now, I don't use the word capitalism system because that's a misnomer. Capitalism is just the use of capital in investing in a business to buy machinery to produce things. And we keep on using capitalism versus communism, which is, it's just like saying cars and boats. They're two different things. They have nothing to do with each other. But we have a free enterprise system versus a system which is reliant on government edict, which is what we have here in the United States for the most part. Not as much as Europe, not as much as Russia, but we're getting there. We're losing our freedom, our restrictions, as you know, through all of the legislation every single day. There's 70,000 pages of legislation that we vote on every single year, and every one of those pieces of legislation don't provide us with more freedom. They provide us with more regulation and more restriction on our free enterprise system. We should concentrate on the. We have a call?
Well, no, I have a comment.
Okay, please. We have a comment by a board operator. Right. I may have to fire him after this, but hold on, folks.
Okay, so what about a kind of another angle of this? What about the people that are working at McDonald's that are saying, hey, I don't have a living wage. We need to be paid $15 an hour to work at McDonald's because I need to be able to feed my family.
Okay, excellent question. Okay. Excellent. Right now, when you have a company, when you interview a person for a job, do you say, oh, hi, John, thank you for coming in and interviewing for this job. What I need you to do is this, whatever the function is, all right? You explain the function, you say, and how much do you want to get paid?
No, you don't.
Well, what do you do?
Right. Well, that's.
How do you price the job?
I mean, I don't know.
You don't know? That is right. Yeah. Well, you price a job according to what it's worth. For example, if this person just took items out of a box and placed them on a shelf, that's all this person did, right? What type of education would you need?
You don't need a college education for that one.
Do you need a high school education?
Not necessarily.
Do you need a grammar school education?
No.
No, you need nothing, right? What if the person didn't even speak English or spoke poor English? had no communication skills.
You don't need to.
All right. So you have a person here who has nothing to offer, but you're offering them a job, taking things out of a box, and they're putting stuff on a shelf. All right. So now you have to determine what is that job worth. It's not how much they want. How many times have you ever gone to an interview and said, "Oh, by the way, Mr. So-and-so, here's my resume. This is what you're going to pay me." How many times have you done that?
Zero.
Why?
I guess I go into an interview and I'm trying to find. I guess I'm wanting them to tell me what it's worth to them
That's
to have
right.
me work there. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
Okay.
what if the employer says we're going to pay you $1 an hour? What would you say?
Well, I can't afford to take that
Thank
job.
you very much. You go someplace else. It's very simple. It's not that the employer is forcing you to take the $1 an hour or the $5 or $10 an hour. It's one. Now, what if you have an employee, a student who comes from, and now we'll get into the family business because I think we have this misconception that there's no difference between men and women. In other words, women should have the right to work in the workplace just as men do. And we shouldn't discriminate. Well, that makes no sense because men and women are not the same. Women are more nurturing. Men are more focused on creating or what's the I lost the word.
Well, I'm trying to think too.
They're more goal seekers.
Okay.
Men are goal seekers. That's what I am. I'm always looking for goals. My wife is very nurturing. Look at the way we don't have kids at home anymore. We have dogs, and she nurtures those dogs to death. Me, I'm a goal seeker. I'm always figuring out what we're going to do the next day, what we can do today for tomorrow, and whatever. But we think differently. Now, not every man and every woman is the same. I'm not saying that, but we are different. Now, what we have is we have children at home without any parents. We don't have parents. We don't have the nurturing, all right? And we don't have the husband at home in many cases. He's gone with his girlfriend, and so they don't have someone who teaches them, the joy of looking forward to accomplishing things, all right? So they don't have this whole ingredient anymore at home. So you have a kid who comes from a poor family, wife, the mother has to work because she has 3 kids. She's partially on welfare. She has a part-time job. The kid's home alone. He goes to school. His only social association, are with other kids in school who are not the best people in the world. All right, this is what he grows up with. All right. The only reason why he graduates high school is because if he doesn't, the school will get in trouble for holding back too many students, not graduating enough students. They lose their funding and whatever, so they push these kids through. Right? So the kid gets a high school education. He gets a high school diploma, but he gets no high school education. In fact, he doesn't even have a grade school education. And he comes out, he can hardly speak English properly. He has no social skills. He has no writing skills. Most kids graduating high school can't even read properly. Right? So they have no skills at all. All they know is to hang, man, with their friends and all this other stupid stuff. And then they go, man, you got to pay me $15 an hour. Well, no, forget about $15 an hour. I don't want to hire you at all. I don't want to give you a penny an hour because you're not even worth it. Now, the person who's responsible for determining how much they get paid per hour is who?
The employer. Wait, what?
What? The employer?
Ask the question again.
Who is responsible for determining how much a person gets paid an hour?
I would think it would be the employer.
He's fired. You're fired. Get out. You're kidding me.
What?
You are kidding me.
Why would not?
So this kid who can't even read. Hardly read. He can read like this. You are fired, like that.
Right.
He's not lucky he can do that, right? You, as an employer, are responsible for paying him $25 an hour.
No. I'm saying that it's the employer's responsible for determining how much he's going to pay that employee.
No. Who's responsible? Who's responsible to determine how much this person is going to get, how much they're worth?
Oh, how much they're worth? Well,
yes.
That would be the person themselves, the employee. Right. Okay. All
so
right.
when the employee says, "I am worth less,"
oh, okay.
I am worth less, but the government, in a free enterprise system, of course, our government says you have to pay me $15 an hour. What do you do as an employer?
I mean, you're getting a terrible employee. I mean,
you don't hire them.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You don't.
Right.
You go and you say, "Thank you very much, Johnny. Let me see what Dave has to offer." Now, Dave comes in, sharp kid, right? Only a high school education, really a sharp kid. Read well. I mean, he has social skills. Comes in, he's neat. Doesn't have tattoos on his nose. Earrings this big. Hanging down. Walking like a slob. Dressed like a slob. He comes in and he says, "Mr. Cristiano, let me say one thing to you. If you don't hire me, it'll be the biggest business mistake you've ever made in your life. Would I hire that guy?"
No.
Of course I would.
Yeah.
I want him to prove me.
Oh,
I said,
okay,
all right. I want to prove you wrong. He's going to prove me wrong. I hope he's right. Absolutely.
No.
And if I pay, I said, good, I'm only going to start you at $8 an hour. He said, fine. After 3 weeks, you'll find out that's the second business mistake you've made in your life. Okay. And after 3 weeks, I said, this guy is phenomenal. I'll pay you $15 an hour. It's the responsibility of the employee, not the employer, to determine who gets paid.
Okay, well,
that's the problem, is that we have it upside down. But of course, our political system says, the poor people. It's not the poor people, poor me. I'm paying for a school system. I pay through the nose for a public school system that costs more money to send a kid to public school than it does to send to private school. And most of that money goes to bureaucracy that pays into the political program so people can get reelected, into PACs and all this other stuff. They take the money out of my pocket to pay for these criminals and crooks and teachers who have no concept of what is going on. So I'm paying for that, and then these criminals and crooks got to tell me I got to pay Johnny $15 an hour who can't even read. Now, is this America that I love? Is this America, a land of the free, home of the brave? No, it's the land of the idiots, the land of the stupid, the land of the cowards. That's what it is. The land of the bureaucrats. That's what it is. What is wrong with us? We can't think that far. Now, I have friends who are real progressive. This one gal, she's so progressive. I want to vomit every time I talk to her. I shouldn't use that word. That's a terrible word to use when I'm on radio. And she talks about this all the time. I go, let me ask you a question. And she had a small business. And recently she had to hire someone. I said, you have to hire a secretary, right? She said, yeah. She said she's got to know, Microsoft, what Word they call it, all that stuff.
Microsoft Office.
Statistical stuff and this and that. And I said, all right, now, a gal comes in, and how much are you going to pay? She said, well, I'm a new company. I'm a sole proprietor. I don't have much to pay. And she didn't. She was paying very little. I think it was less than $10 an hour. I said, okay, so one of the people who typically get hired by Walmart as a checker that has no social skills, dresses horribly, grossly overweight, doesn't have any skills whatsoever, they come to you, would you hire them? She said, of course not. I go, well, wait a minute. Now you're the mean employer subjugating the poor employee, and you won't hire them. Why not? Well, she couldn't. Well, the answer was because the person didn't qualify for the job, and I couldn't pay somebody, $10 an hour or whatever she was going to pay the person an hour, $8 an hour for a person to be unproductive. But she wouldn't say that. She said, well, because I have alternatives. Well, yeah, I know you have alternatives, but so does every other business. But now I'm the government. I'm forcing you to hire that employee and pay them $20 an hour. She said, I'd be out of business. I go, no kidding, folks. And this illusion that employers are bad, employees are good is bullcrap. It's just a lot of crap. I have an occupational health testing company. I work in factories. I used to go to factories every single day. Every day I saw tens of thousands of employees. Now, a lot of good employees, a lot of good employers. And there were a lot of bad employees and a lot of bad employers. It's equal. There ain't no such thing as bad on one side, good on the other. And you can get this notion out of your head that the minimum wage does anything. But let's go back to the minimum wage. All right, so now everyone gets paid $15 an hour. All right, I go to a store, instead of buying something for $10, it's now $12. Who paid the minimum wage? Who paid that? not the employer.
The consumer.
No, the consumer did. Now I have $2 less in my pocket. So I go to the dollar store, and let's make this up. I go to the dollar store because I want to spend $2 on two $1 items. I go there, I go in my wallet, I go, oh my God, I have no money. I spent it at the other store because I had to pay a higher price. So I walk out of that store. The person who hired the people in the dollar store, what do? Well, they lose a sale. If they lose a sale, they may close. If they close, the people who work in that dollar store lose their job. Now, let me talk about overseas stuff. This is what people don't understand. And God forbid, I think if the Americans started thinking, there'd be an explosion. Americans can't think. The school system sucks so badly, and you can see I have people on here on the program where people are students. I have students on my program very frequently. In fact, I had twice last week students program. And what they say is that the professors don't even want to discuss issues with them. They want them to memorize, pass the test, provided it's their ideology that they agree with, and get the hell out. But as soon as they bring up a contrary, a contraindication, or some sort of a contrary opinion, and they want to talk about it, instead of it being, in college that is, a free flow of ideas and exchange, no, they get angry and they don't want to talk about it. Now, our whole school system, including our university system, sucks. Get rid of all of it. Get rid of all the schools and have the parents determine how their kids and where their kids learn. All right, now, let's go back to the situation in China. Now, the people in China, if you have items made in China, what happens? China starts becoming industrial. When China becomes industrial, what happens to the standard of living? Let me ask my board operator, although he's sick in the head, let me ask you, what happens when China goes from individual agrarian society to an industrial society? What happens to their standard of living?
It goes up.
Right, it goes up. Yeah. What happens when their standard of living goes up? What happens to the income?
Their income goes up.
All right. When the income goes up, can they buy from overseas?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So they can buy our products.
That is correct.
Right. So once we make our products inexpensive, what happens? Other people start buying it. We increase their standard of living, and they increase ours. Once we put up a minimum wage, which is the same as a tariff, right? That's what caused the depression. Tariffs all around the world. Everyone put up tariffs to protect their industry, and trade collapsed. A minimum wage is an internal tariff. So now people from China can't buy our stuff. So we have to buy it, but we have to buy it at a higher price. Our wages go up. No one can buy our products. We begin to implode. That's how the free enterprise, and that's how reality works. This is the way the whole system works. And that's why our productivity is going down. Look at all the indicators. Look at the manufacturing product index. Look at all the purchasing indexes. They're all going down. We're heading for a inflationary depression. That means the money is becoming less valuable, right? And people have less money to spend because the products are becoming more expensive. Folks, hold on to your hats because it's coming. It probably is already here. We're on the onside of it. And if you don't heed that, and you don't heed those people who are talking about that, I'm talking about learned people who understand the economy, not politicians, not these bums criminals, but real economists who understand the economic system worldwide. If you listen to them, you'll realize what bad shape we're in. And I tell you, times that are coming are not going to be very pretty. All right. Now, that's my commentary, just a half-hour commentary. I wanted to mouth off. I love mouthing off. Do you like me mouthing off, Preston?
Very much so.
Yeah, see,
that's what I enjoy about listening to you.
You do.
I do.
I was going to fire. I fired him.
I was going to be fired.
I'm rehired. You're rehired because he sucked up to me. That's what I like. I love that. Yeah. Just tell me how wonderful I am, and you got a job for me.
I love your hair too.
Okay.
I'm a yes man.
Okay, folks. All righty. Let's play that closing song, folks. This is the end of today's broadcast. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the financial support, and we'd like to thank you for listening in. You can further the cause of liberty by recommending this program to your friends, but let us hear from you. Our email address is comments@libertytalkradio.com. Folks, as my wife would say, you're either allowing your liberties to be taken away or you're striving to protect them. Unfortunately, there is no middle ground. Until next time, this is Joe Cristiano. You've been listening to Liberty Talk Radio. Stay well. Stay tuned.